Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Before going to our topic, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Let's jump in. The 350th anniversary of the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj has just concluded. Many events were held all over the India on this auspicious Shivarajyabhisheka or Hindusamrajya day, and it was also noted in the world. However, we need to know how important the coronation of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was. In the present context of many self-proclaimed historians, without giving any reference, are trying to alienate Shivaji Maharaj from Hindu Dharma, Hindu culture and Hindu society. Therefore, it has become necessary to highlight the background of this important historical event. In his book, Six Glorious Epochs of Indian History, Swatantraveer Savarkar describes the birth of Shivaji Maharaj as follows. Whether because of good fortune or because it was the will of God, whether again owing to mere accidental coincidence or as the extraordinary harvest reaped from the well-coordinated sowing of the seeds of gigantic efforts, call it what you will, but ever since the birth of Shivaji Maharaj from the womb of his mother Jizabai, there was a strange turn given to the technique of the national front in this Hindu-Muslim war. Generally speaking, right from the beginning of the 8th century to that of 17th, wherever mighty armies of the Muslims and the Hindus fought, wherever the Hindus and the Muslims were engaged in decisive battles affecting the destinies of the states and the Hindu nation as a whole, it was the Hindu who usually, barring some honorable exceptions, suffered crushing defeats with heavy losses in men and material. From the birth of Shivaji, so to say, the same cruel goddess of war began to show a highly astonishing difference in her verdict regarding the same Hindu-Muslim struggle. And it was this, just as formerly it seemed almost predetermined that the Hindus were bound to defeated in every Hindu-Muslim struggle, similarly now onwards, wherever the Hindu-Muslim armies met, the Hindus' victory was almost assured and the Muslim defeat is a foregone conclusion. From this 17th century onwards, wherever they met the Muslims in the state of war, the Hindus invariably vanquished them. But this was not the case before the arrival of Shivaji Maharaj. The situation was dire and it is necessary to know that what it was, especially against the backdrop of the films like Kashmir Files, Kerala Story and now Ajmer and 72 Hoor, depicting the events of the recent past. 2 years ago in Pune, the Pune-based senior and honorable historian Mehendale sir gave similar examples of history, but since we are cursed with short memory and this is the nature of our society, I am again giving some examples. Let us see one example. After Ghori's invasion completed, Qutbuddin Aibak sat on the throne of Delhi. He is the one who takes the Vishnu pillar as Qutub Minar in his own name. History of India, written by Vincent Smith, he wrote about him. He was a typical specimen of the ferocious Central Asian warrior of the time, merciless and fanatical. His valor and profuse liberality to his comrades endeared him to the bloodthirsty historian of his time. All leaders in the Muslim conquest of Hindustan similarly rejoiced in the committing wholesale massacres of Hindu idolaters, and was largely due to their frightfulness, which made resistance terribly dangerous and could not always be evaded by humble submission. His son-in-law Iltutmish destroyed Mahakal temple at Ujjain and built a mosque there. After his reign, Balban came to power, he killed over 12,000 Hindus. Vincent Smith wrote about him as well. He had no regard for human life, no scruples about shedding blood. He was indeed a ruthless man. Fear and awe took possession of all the men's heart. He never laughed. He was stern and bloody. By royal command, many of the rebels were cast under the feet of elephants, and fierce Turks cut the bodies of Hindus into two. About 100 met death at the hands of the flyers, being skinned from the head to foot. Their skins were all stuffed with straw, and some of them were hung over every gate of the city. The plain of Hauzrani and gates of Delhi remember no punishment like this, nor had such a tale of horror. Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji was foolish and cruel. He was a terrible hunter of women. He looted Sorti Somnath temple second time and attacked Gujarat. He killed Karnarai, the king of Gujarat, and imprisoned, raped his wife Kamala Devi and Karnarai's daughter Deval Devi. After Alauddin Khilji, Khusro came into power. He again raped both of them. The policy adopted by Alauddin Khilji regarding Hindus has been described by Jaduna Sarkar in his book History of Aurangzeb. Alauddin treated Hindus very contemptuously, cruelly and revengefully. Once Alauddin asked the Qazi, according to our religious books, how should Hindus behave? The learned Qazi Muhisuddin declared to Khilji, in accordance with the teachings of the books on canon law, the Hindus are designated in the law as payers of tribute, and when the revenue officer demands silver from them, they should without question and with all humility and respect tender gold. If the officer throws dirt into their mouth, they must without reluctance open their mouths wide open to receive it. By these acts of degradations are shown the extreme obedience of Dhimmi and the glorification of the true faith of Islam and abasement of false faith. God himself ordered them to be humiliated till they pay jizya with the hand and be humbled. The Prophet has commanded us to slay them, plunder them, make them captive. No other religious authority except great Imam Abu Hanifa, whose faith we follow, has sanctioned the imposition of the jizya on Hindus. According to all others, rule for Hindus is either death or Islam. There were rules in Alauddin's kingdom such as Hindus cannot ride a horse, Hindus cannot keep weapons, Hindus cannot wear good nice clothes, half of their land production has to be given to government, cows and buffaloes have to be taxed, wife of Hindu official will have to work in the Muslim house, Hindus will have to go down and greet when Muslim official come in front. Dr. Ambedkar mentioned about Alauddin Khilji in his book Thoughts on Pakistan and how his rule destroyed Hindu economics at that time completely, he explained. The taxes were to be levied equally on rich and poor. At so much for acre, so much for animal. Any collector or officer taking bribes were summarily dismissed and heavily punished with sticks, pincers, the rack, imprisonment and chains. The new rules were strictly carried out so that one revenue officer would string together 20 Hindu notables and enforce payment by blows. No gold or silver, not even betel nut left in the house. So much cheering and stimulative to pleasure was to be seen in Hindu house. The wives of impoverished native official were reduced to taking service in Muslim families. Revenue officer came to be regarded as more deadly than plague, and to be government clerk was a disgrace, worse than death, so much that no Hindu would marry his daughter to such a man. Vincent Smith writes about brutal exploits of Muhammad Tughlaq. He was one of the first Muslim ruler. Tughlaq was guilty of acts which the pen shrinks from recording. The Alauddin's rules about business were so much weird. But more weird thing is that our secular Panditji and All India Radio declared them as. These rules were first ever experiment of socialism in the history of India and they glorified it. Farmers, all of them were Hindus at that time. They must sell their agricultural production at the cost buyer wants, and buyers forced to purchase the goods in such a way that they hardly get some profit. Most of the time, none. The result is, in the government-owned repositories, they had so much staggering amount of the grains no one have imagined. Ibn Battuta returned 18 years after death of Alauddin, and he ate that rice which was harvested during the reign of Alauddin. We have seen so far the contemporary Muslim scholars have written what they have written about Hindus and their rules. Now we will see one example of Hindu literature from Vijayanagar Empire. Kumar Kampan. He was military commander of Vijayanagar army and son of Bukkarai first. He defeated Maldurai Sultanate. His wife Ganga Devi wrote in her poem Madhura Vijayam about the situation during the Muslim rule in Madurai. She wrote, "Every day they destroy our idols. Every day they insult our sacred religion. Every day they burn our holy books, Srimad Bhagavatam. They forcibly take bells and conch from Brahmins and throw them away. They destroy them. They urinate on Tulsi and purposefully excrete inside temple. They throw dirt on Hindus just passing by or having some puja nearby river. They make very crazy fun of Hindu saints as they are some fools." If we look at this severe situation lasted for continuous 5 centuries with big or small, noticeable or unnoticeable incidents of resistance, with ultimate sacrifice for land, for dharma, for safety of family, finally Mahadev blessed, Mahavishnu blessed. Dharmavir Sambhaji Maharaj said in his Sanskrit book Buddha Bhushan about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as follows. Kalikala bhujangamavaledham nikhilam dhamaveshya viplavam yaha jagatak pariranshato vatapo sashiva chhatrapatir jayatyajeyaha yena kshonitale kalavavikale buddhavataram gate gopale khilavarna dharma nichaye blenchais samasadite bhuyas tatparipalanaya sakalanjitva saradveshinaha sve sve varnapathe chirena vihita vipradi varnakrama. Hail to invincible incarnation of Shiva Chhatrapati, who, seeing the entire religion swallowed by the snake of Kali Yuga, was taken by Shankara for the protection of Dharma. At the time when Sri Krishna ended his avatar, Ishwar manifested his indolence by incarnating as Buddha, and as a result of that, Blenchas destroyed Varnashram Dharma. Then again, for the observance of that religion, he took avatar of Shiva Chhatrapati, and in that avatar, he defeated all the people who hated God, Dharma, and established all Varnas like Brahman on their true path. I end my video with these memorable and guiding words. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. I will bring more such informative contents about our history.